Am I the antagonist for not offering my stepdad a big role in my wedding while walking down the aisle and doing a mother-daughter dance with my mom? I, 27 years old female, asked my mother if she would fill a more active mother of the bride role at my wedding, which includes walking me down the aisle and doing a mother-daughter dance with me at the reception. When I asked, I told her how out of everyone in my life, she was always there. She was there when I was born and learning to walk and talk. She was there when Dad died, and I was so sad and afraid that she let me sleep in her bed for close to 2 years. She put me first when she held off on dating for a whole 2 years because she knew I wasn't ready. She was there for me when she asked me what I thought of the man she would marry when I was 10, and when she assured me I didn't have to call him Dad. She was there when I struggled in school, when I was being relentlessly bullied, and when I was sick. She was there. She loved me. She supported me. She gave me all her love and affection and made sure that losing my dad didn't mean I could no longer have a good life. She taught me so much, and I love her more than words can express. My mother cried and said yes. She was a mess for the rest of the day, and apparently, she even broke down at work the very next day and sobbed her heart out with joy. We've since planned everything about this special role of hers, and she's even going to have some details of her dress match mine. My stepdad, who came into my life and married my mother when I was 10, I asked if he'd like to do a toast during the wedding and dance with my mom in a special little dance alongside my fiancé's parents. Originally, he said yes. But then afterward, he quizzed my mom on what we were doing, and he became upset that he wasn't more involved in the wedding and getting a bigger spot. He told me he considers me his youngest. He has 3 kids from before he met my mom who were grown when he and my mom married, so they're strangers to me, and he would have thought I considered him a second dad. I told him I appreciated all he had done for us, but my mom had always been there for me, and it was her I wanted with me for my wedding, because she has been with me always. He didn't like it, and he and my mom got into a fight over it. Mom actually spent a couple of nights with my fiancé and me. My stepdad told me he wasn't feeling like one of my parents, and I don't consider him my parent, but I didn't want to be a jerk to him either. Then my mom's parents got involved, and they asked why I needed just my mom and not both. My stepdad said not being offered more made him feel like he wasn't wanted at the wedding at all. He complained that he wasn't even paying for the wedding like a typical father of the bride would. And he pointed out that I was going traditional enough to walk and dance with a parent, but away from tradition by asking mom instead of him. He also expressed that anything I offer after this would feel shallow and like I'm throwing him a bone instead of wanting him there. Am I the asshole? Am I the antagonist? Not the antagonist. Your wedding should be about you and your partner, not about your stepdad. You are honoring your mom, and that's beautiful. You offered him a role in the wedding, so the decision is up to him. Stand your ground and decide everything else according to what feels right for you. Am I the antagonist for excluding one of my groomsmen when I go out with my wedding party? I, 26 years old female, am getting married to my fiancé Brian, 27 years old male, in a few months. We did all of our wedding planning ourselves, paid for our wedding party's dresses and ties, and just want them there with us on our big day, and don't expect any of the typical roles tasks. All of our wedding party, but one, is one big friend group, and we're all really close. Now, the exception to the friend group is my fiancé's brother, Ivan, 20 years old male. For background context, Brian and Ivan aren't close. Ivan had a lot of issues growing up, and I don't mean the typical childhood acting out. With mandated counseling as a child, to avoid legal consequences, he did eventually grow out of that behavior, but not necessarily for the better. He is very rude, has no respect for others, but is extremely manipulative and knows how to act in public, especially around adults. The people who do know Ivan's real attitude are shocked to find out that Ivan and Brian are brothers because Brian is an amazing human, while Ivan is not. But he is seen as the golden child and all the adults love him by Ivan's divine scheme and cling to his every word. To state one example, my fiancé and I were recently kicked out of our very Christian church for fornication because of Ivan having told the pastor that my fiancé and I had been living together for years prior to marriage. While it is true that my fiancé currently lives with me, it has been under a year and is because Ivan told Brian he would throw all of his stuff out if he didn't take it and leave. They shared a room and Ivan wanted it to himself. Since Brian and I were getting married anyways, he came to live with me, which also made wedding planning easier, but I digress. The pastor told my fiancé and I that we were shameful, and when we tried to explain, he told us we were disrespectful for talking back, and that Ivan has been so hurt because he misses his brother, and essentially told us to leave the church so we wouldn't influence others with our bad behavior. Anyways, because of the importance of family in our culture and knowing that Ivan won't cause a scene at our wedding, we had asked Ivan to be a groomsman. Some people from our wedding party know him and were friends with him at some point, but can't stand being around him. Needless to say, no one likes having him around, including Brian. Now, here's where I've been told I'm the When our friend group goes out, we don't invite him. The outings aren't even wedding related, but because it is generally known that everyone is in the wedding party for our upcoming wedding, I've been told to invite Ivan, to which we've refused because 1, it's a group plan decision, and 2, frankly, we know he'll find a way to ruin it with his attitude. Am I the antagonist for excluding Ivan when we hang out with our wedding party? Not the antagonist. If the pastor really sees you as sinners, he should be asking you to come to church instead of kicking you out. Praying that karma eventually finds Ivan. You don't have to include Ivan in your social life just because he's in your wedding. Not the antagonist, and you were at the wrong church. All of us are imperfect and in need of the support of God and others, and church is where you get that. Excluding people from God's love is not very Christian, it's actually the opposite. Since I think you will understand, not preaching here, love each other as I have loved you. That's what the pastor should have said. Am I the antagonist for telling my coworker I don't take judgment from cheaters? I am a 26-year-old male, and I am in a loving relationship with 2 other men, Lipith and Ioniker. I don't know, I can't think of any names. Also known as a throuple or a triad. I'm not here for judgment on that, as my relationship is not the business of strangers to judge me for. I love them both too much for words. I have this one coworker, Stella, who is 31 years old and female. I dislike Stella for a multitude of reasons. She's annoying, she makes weird comments about everyone, and most of all, she cheated on her husband. I abhor cheating, as I think it's the worst thing you can possibly do in a relationship. I don't quite understand how they stayed together after that, but then again, it's none of my business. She's just a coworker. Today I was talking to one of the coworkers I actually like about getting Lipith a present for his birthday. I was asking whether he thought it was better for me and Ioniker to get him separate presents or get him one big one, such as a motorbike. Now, my nice coworker was giving me suggestions when Stella decided to butt in and start asking why I was dating 2 people. I held my tongue about how she had cheated but told her that it was because we all loved each other. She started berating me and telling me how gross and wrong it was that I was giving into my lust. Who even says lust these days? JFC. Then I politely told her to shut the fuck up, not so polite but still, and how I wasn't the lustful one, since she couldn't even handle staying loyal to one guy. I wasn't taking judgment from a cheater. She went red and told me that it was none of my business, and that she and her husband had gotten over that, and that she would report me to HR if I made another comment like that. I moved on and continued asking my nice coworker for advice, but he told me I was a bit aggressive there, and didn't need to go for the throat. I don't really feel bad since she started it, but I understand that I did purposefully throw it in her face just to hurt her, which was kind of a he-ish. Not the antagonist. Don't force your way into conversations if you aren't ready to be forcibly removed from them. The truth hurts, and she wasn't ready for the smoke. She was eavesdropping and felt she could interject. She found out she was wrong, and that she and her husband had gotten over that, and that she would report me to HR if I made another comment like that. Go and report her to HR first. She had it coming. If she's making public derogatory comments about your relationship, you can damn well throw her own poor choices at her. Am I the antagonist for not forgiving my parent after they broke my trust? I, 22 years old female, have been in a silent treatment standoff with my mother, 60 years old female, for the past 3 to 4 days. The situation has been especially difficult since Mother's Day is tomorrow. Over the summer, I began therapy to help improve my self-confidence and manage my anxiety. During therapy, I was given a journal to express my true feelings. I mainly wrote about how I love my family, but feel like they do not know how to love me. Although I informed my mother about the journal, I kept it hidden at the bottom of my purse. One day, my mother was driving me to my internship when she began crying and revealed that she had read my journal. She questioned whether I loved her or my family. I felt betrayed and expressed my feelings, stating that I do indeed love my family, but feel like they do not take my interests seriously. I am a sensitive nerd, while my family is into sports. I also opened up about the severity of my mental health struggles and how they were not providing the support I needed. My mother acknowledged that reading the journal was wrong, but disagreed about her level of support. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago during my graduation, my best friend gifted me a gag gift related to Spider-Man 2099 from the Spider-Verse movies. I love this character, and the gift was a perfume bottle resembling a fictional drug called Rapture. It came in a sealed black box which I kept on my desk. On the way back from the graduation, I noticed a picture of the perfume on my mom's phone. I confronted her, and she admitted to opening the box out of concern for my safety, thinking it might be harmful. I expressed my anger at her invasion of my privacy and pointed out that she should have talked to me about it instead of taking action on her own. My mom admitted her mistake, but reiterated that she acted out of concern for me. Now, in the present week, my mom asked to borrow a long necklace from me, and I said I would check what I had. However, that night, she went into my room and took my most expensive necklace without permission. I was furious and struggled to control my emotions. I understand that I may have overreacted, but given the previous incidents, I felt that my privacy was not respected, which triggered me. The next morning, I texted her asking for the necklace back and expressing my lack of trust in her due to her tendency to go through my belongings. This led to the current silent treatment. I recognize that I should communicate my feelings more effectively, but it is challenging when I feel like my emotions are not being taken seriously. My friends support me, but my father and brother suggest I should apologize. Can anyone offer advice on this situation? Am I in the wrong here? Not the antagonist. Your mom admitted she was wrong for reading the journal, but disagreed about her support. It's clear she doesn't respect your right to privacy and has no intention of changing. It's time to get away from her ASAP. Move out, don't give her a key, and set boundaries to protect yourself. She owes you an apology, and you are not in the wrong for standing up for yourself as an adult. Am I the antagonist for wanting privacy to breastfeed my newborn? Hello? I gave birth approximately 2 weeks ago, and my husband and I decided 2 months ago not to allow anyone to see our newborn baby for a month. I informed my mother and also informed his parents. I do not particularly get along with my husband's parents because of how much his stepmother constantly criticizes me. She comments on my introverted nature, questions why I don't attend every family event, and even gets upset that I don't visit them every week. I value my space and don't even visit my own mother weekly. We made the mistake of allowing our families to visit on the day of the delivery to see our newborn before implementing the 1-month restriction. His stepmother made an interesting comment upon seeing the baby, thanking me for giving her the grandchild but offering no other compliments. Exhausted after 11 hours of labor, I brushed it off. After his stepmother left, his biological mother, who was in a lesbian relationship with his stepmother, stayed behind, allowing my husband to fetch his grandmother to meet the baby. When alone with my mother-in-law, a nurse entered the room advising me to breastfeed the baby to stimulate milk production. My mother-in-law then asked if I wanted her to stay or leave, giving me the opportunity to express my preference for privacy while breastfeeding, as I was uncomfortable doing so in her presence. I didn't see this as an issue, but apparently it was. Days later, my husband informed me that his mother had left in tears because I didn't breastfeed in front of her. She felt she could have turned away, but my husband supported my choice to have privacy during that time. His parents failed to understand my perspective and escalated the situation. His stepmother labeled me as rude and unpleasant to my husband behind my back, simply because I didn't feel comfortable breastfeeding around them. She never approved of me as the woman her son married, talking negatively about me and not addressing her concerns directly. Despite her criticisms, she portrays a friendly demeanor when I see her, professing love, only for me to later learn about her discontent with my behavior. She even complained to my husband when I was 39 weeks pregnant about my lack of visits to their family, disregarding my discomfort at that stage of pregnancy. His parents have criticized my decision on the day of delivery. Am I the antagonist for seeking privacy from my mother-in-law while breastfeeding my child? Not the antagonist. Your husband needs to handle this, not you. You just had a baby and are completely justified in what you feel is right not only for yourself, but for your baby. Your mother-in-law needs to talk to his mom and stepmom and nip their behavior, because if they're talking behind your back now, they'll do it in front of your kid later on. Do not let them push you to do things you're not comfortable with. Set boundaries, and maybe even tell them you don't appreciate the two-faced behavior. A breastfeeding curtain and good maternity clothes can keep you completely covered. Clearly, neither would be easy to get in hospital, and your request seemed completely fair. Glad your husband is being sensible. Am I the antagonist for renting an apartment after viewing it with my friends and deciding it was too small for all three of us? Hey everyone, first post on here. I am 29 years old, and after a difficult 5-year breakup, I moved back in with my parents a year ago. Living back at home has been quite challenging, and I have been wanting to get my own place. However, apartment prices in my area are very high. I have 2 close friends who are also searching for a new apartment because their current place is too expensive for them to save money. So we decided to look for one together. Throughout the process, I encouraged them to keep an eye out for a place that would suit them both, they are in a relationship, and to do what is best for them, even if it means getting a place without me. I would never want them to feel obligated by our agreement or miss out on a good opportunity because of me. 2 days ago, we viewed a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment. Aita. We all liked it initially, but after the excitement wore off, I realized how small the place was and how challenging it would be to have privacy and get a good night's sleep. I have an early bedtime due to my job at a school, while they enjoy staying up late playing games. The proximity of the living room and bathroom to both bedrooms made it seem too cramped for all 3 of us and their cat. That night, I texted them to apologize and mentioned that I believed the place was too small for us. They responded by saying they would find a place just for the 2 of them since we couldn't agree on a suitable place for all 3 of us, to which I agreed. Later that day, when I visited the property manager's office to inform her that the apartment was too small for us, I mentioned to her to keep me in mind if another unit became available. To my surprise, she offered the apartment to me alone since I had already placed a deposit. I covered the deposit myself and did not ask my friends for assistance, as I earn slightly more than they do. After calculating my finances, I realized I could afford it on my own. I promptly contacted my friends to seek their approval because I really liked the apartment, but I made it clear that I would never want it to impact our friendship negatively. They appear to be quite upset with me now. However, living with my parents post-breakup has been tough, and this apartment presents a great opportunity for me. Its location would significantly ease my work commute, and it is conveniently close to the gym I visit daily. I must also note that I was becoming anxious about residing with these friends due to our very different cleaning and decorating philosophies. I was concerned about potential disagreements on these matters. While I did not want this situation to strain our friendship, it seems to have done so. Choosing this apartment is the best decision for me, and despite the complexity of the situation, I hoped for my friends' understanding and support. I have expressed my care for them and the value I place on our friendship, and I have tried to explain my stance as clearly as possible. However, they have stopped responding to my messages, and I am unsure about what to do next. Not the antagonist in this situation. Maybe they were planning on going back and grabbing it for just the two of them, but if you can afford it on your own, then it was probably a good price that the two of them could have afforded. They may be upset that you beat them to it, but living with a couple can be tricky for a multitude of reasons. You made the right decision to move out on your own, and if they want to be distant or cold, just give them some space until they reach out. It sounds like living with them would have destroyed your friendship anyway, so it's best to let them cool down and find their own place. But don't forget to thank them for inadvertently giving you the push to start the next chapter of your life. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.